Hi everyone. Happy Friday. It is, it's Feedback Friday, and it has been quite the week. So I'm excited to pause with you before I wrap up my night and talk about the topic I love so much, feedback. For those of you who I'm meeting for the very first time, my name is Dr. Shanita Williams. I consider myself a feedback enthusiast because I believe if we really pause and think intentionally about feedback, we have some nuggets in there that we can use to unlock and unleash our potential. So tonight, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. We are going to continue our conversation about feedback through the lens of diversity. Now, a diversity dimension I want to talk about tonight is age diversity. We know that as you look through the lens of different generations, we all perceive the world differently based on the social and economic forces that were around us that shaped our thinking. When it comes to feedback, that's also the same. So when you think about feedback, I'm going to focus specifically on Generation Z. So Gen Z is, a large population of folks. You're looking at about 68 million people, ages 8 to about 24. So that's a wide range in age, and they're all pretty much school-aged, right? School-aged children, young adults, and early professionals who are entering the workforce. Now, what can we learn about this generation that helps us really think about how we provide them feedback in a unique and meaningful way? Now, this generation is also known as Zoomers or digital natives. They, of course, have been around with technology their entire lives, but they've also had portable devices where they could take, the technology with them everywhere. Lots of touch screens and immediate stimulus. So they've actually grown up in an environment where notifications are everywhere, and notifications are just feedback. It's information and signals that influences behavior and really helps you make decisions. So if you think about Gen Zs, they've been surrounded by stimulus their whole life. And when you think about that and the implications of feedback, they're used to getting instant information at the touch of their finger. Now, when you think about providing feedback to them, what are the implications that we should be thinking about? Well, for our Gen Zs, they also say that they actually have a really good mindset around feedback. That is that they're actually able to take constructive criticism almost better than any other generation. Now, this could be because they are used to stimulus. And I like to think, my children are in this age range. And so I think they actually play tons of video games. And if you imagine the stimulus that comes through those games, how many times they fail to make it to the next level, they don't stop playing. They actually learn from what they did wrong and try to apply it next time. And thus we see them on the games all night. I don't know about you, but that's definitely something that's happening in my home. But again, this age group, 8 to 24, has grown up with always having stimulus shared back and forth. So when it comes to feedback, I'm going to give you 3 things to keep in mind with this group to make sure that you're giving intentional feedback in a meaningful way. The first thing to note is that this generation really, really thrives on high frequency feedback. You can't give them feedback like you give a baby boomer, the traditionalists where they are used to getting an annual performance review. If you're waiting a year to give a Gen Z employee feedback, you're going to lose them because Gen Zs actually want feedback. It says here, 40% of them want it daily. I know you're probably thinking, daily feedback? I have to seek you out each day and tell you you're doing a good job? But this group actually thrives on growth. And again, they have a really good mindset. So the mindset of a Gen Z is that failure is something to be learned from. So when you provide them feedback, it's really easy for them to respond and actually adapt to it. So 40% of them want high frequency feedback. So that's the first tip. The second thing to keep in mind with the Gen Z is not only do they want higher frequency, they also want the duration to be less as well. Now, when you think about this, most people go into their performance reviews and they're sitting for like an hour listening to what they need to do to get better. Gen Zs actually prefer shorter bursts. They say on average 5 minutes. So yes, they want to see you every day, but they don't want to sit down for a 30-minute, 45-minute conversation each time. They just want to touch base with you, get some of that quick feedback, and then go on about their day. Again, keep in mind, they're digital natives. They move quick. The last and final tip I want to give you when you're thinking about giving a millennial feedback is really thinking about how you give it to them. Now, they are digital natives, so some people think, oh, I can just send them a text, I can send them an IM or an email, they'll be fine. No, 75% of them actually want the feedback in person, so they still want that personal touch. Don't assume just because they're great with technology that you can use that to give them their feedback. So, those are your 3 tips. Increase the frequency, make sure that the duration is short and sweet, and last but not least, make sure that that feedback is in person so that Gen Z can thrive. Now, we've been talking a little bit, actually a lot, about it from an employee perspective. But keep in mind, Gen Zs were born from 1997 to 2012. So their age range is 6 to 24. So you probably have children or nieces and nephews, or perhaps you're a teacher and you have a classroom full of young folks. These same principles can apply. When you're thinking about educating or counseling a child, keep in mind, these Gen Zs want high touch, right? They want constant feedback. So think about little ways that you can signal to them that I see you, that they're doing well. And don't hold back on any constructive criticism because they have a strong mindset to be able to handle it. So think about the little people in your life, whether they're elementary, middle school, high school, young adults, early college. They want high frequency, short bursts of feedback, but done in person to be effective. So that ends our time together today. I hope these tips help you deliver feedback to the Gen Zs in your life. Thanks for joining. Have a wonderful day.